5th episode of the Randy Forcier podcast. I'm your host, Randy Forcier, residential loan officer with Norcom Mortgage in Saco. Today, I am joined by Karen Chasse. Karen and I go way back to my early days in the Biddeford-Saco Rotary Club. Karen's worked in healthcare. She's worked for the school department and most recently opened up her own business. And I'm looking forward to talking about all of that stuff. So, hey, Karen, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited. I knew pretty early on when I was putting together a list of people that I want to have on that I would want to have you on. We do go way back, and I think your experience in a number of different things made me want to have you on. I appreciate you taking the time. I know that you're super busy.
Thank you.
So why don't you tell everybody about yourself, your story, where you've been, where you are now.
I'm a Biddeford grad, and I got my Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Studies at University of Maine at Augusta. While I did that, I started working at Southern Maine Healthcare, which was Southern Maine Med at the time, at 17 as a switchboard operator, and worked my way up the ladder to marketing assistant and manager. After about 23 years, I decided I wanted to expand my knowledge beyond healthcare. So I started looking at other opportunities, and the education sector came up. So I joined Biddeford and Dayton School Department 6 years ago as the Director of Community Outreach and Development. And just in January of this year, I decided to start my own business. So I now own Diverse Anecdote, where I provide marketing, communications, graphic design, logos, and project management services.
So what made you decide to open your own business? Is it something that you've always wanted to do? Or you just felt it was the right time?
Well, it's not something I always wanted to do. I would say, like many other people, the pandemic forced me to reevaluate what was most important in my life. I was at a point where my kids are all grown, they're taking care of themselves, so I'm an empty nester. My fiance and I wanted to have freedom to work remotely or travel, and fortunately, I had the luxury of reducing my stress. I know many people would say running your own business is much more stressful. Yeah. But trust me, crisis communications over a long period of time can be taxing. And it was time to move toward tasks I enjoyed, the communications, the graphic design, and I really had moved past the fundraising piece at that point. So just good timing.
It's been a good run for you. Of course, I was sad to see you leave the school department. It's been fun. Since we had a little bit of overlap, me on the school committee and what you did for the school department, it was always nice to have you in the crowd at the meetings or get other communications from you. So when you were leaving, I was bummed out, but ultimately excited for you, because whenever someone starts their own business, that's exciting. It's a big step for anybody to just decide to do that.
I've been fortunate. I've still been working with the schools and helping them on certain things in the transition to my replacement. So I still have those encounters, which is really, they're important to me.
Definitely. Did you just feel it was a natural fit for you to do what you do at Diverse Anecdote in terms of the graphic design and the coordination? Is that natural transition from your past jobs to the new business?
Yeah, I've spent a little bit over 30 years in marketing, communications, social media, public relations, doing the design of collateral material, branding. Yep. So it was an easy transition. Yeah. The biggest transition part is obviously learning the business side of things.
Yeah, there's a whole other aspect of things that I'm sure you're not used to. Once you own your own business, there's a whole bunch of different things that you have to consider. Now, are you in growth mode right now?
Well, I measure success now by can I pay my bills? And fortunately, I don't have a ton of them. I would say, honestly, when I started out in January, I had made sure that I had enough to, if I make no money for 5 months, I'm going to be okay. Yeah. And luckily that didn't happen. I immediately had people reaching out to me saying, oh, we need help. Would you be willing to help us? I know most of them through Rotary, but I've worked with Apex, Youth Connection, Coastal Healthy Communities Coalition. I joined the chamber, got some clients through the school department. I've not had a lull of work, which is nice. But I think some of that also has to do with the times we're in and people can't find help.
Yeah, so, it is a weird time right now. It's weird for many different aspects, but yeah, finding help or finding people that aren't super busy that can actually get a job done for you is challenging right now. So it's nice that you've been able to fit that need.
I think your brother had a good point. I watched that first podcast.
Nice.
And he is spot on with where I would like to be. Not necessarily a bunch of clients, but knowing your worth and having a few.
Yeah.
It's not about the more the merrier. It's quality over quantity.
I loved that advice when you said it, and it's something that I've heard in the past. And yeah, like you said, I mean, you get less people paying you more, even if the money ends up being the same. There's a quality of life aspect of things that is nice. It sounds like you're still finding your way through all that stuff, kind of navigating the new clients, the cost, the fees that you charge. And I guess, how does it work? Do people pay you a consultation fee, or is it hourly rates?
All around the board depends on the client. I do a lot of hourly fees depending if people aren't really sure what they need.
Yep.
And I do a lot of, here's a proposal
Yep.
for a project.
Yep.
And so it's a project fee. So it may take me more, it may take me less, and then I have retainer. Most of the social media and website updates, that sort of thing, is on retainer.
So you can do a
Because
website.
you don't know how many hours. I can. It's not my all-time favorite. I don't mind it, but I have designed a few websites,
Yeah.
including my own.
But so you're happy to do it, push comes to shove. It sounds like the services that you offer are pretty diverse. You know, there's probably, it sounds like 12 different things that you could be doing for anybody. And I'm sure you'll probably learn some new things over time as your clients' needs change.
I absolutely say that Google is probably my best friend. I Google something every single day.
Same here.
I know a lot,
Yeah.
but I don't know a lot.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I think, was it Jordan, your last podcast that you interviewed, really talked about, it's good to know where you excel, but it's critical to know what you need to learn, and you
Yeah.
have to be willing to learn it. So I still have plenty to learn.
I mean, same here in my business after 13 years. You can't know the answer to everything, but if you know where to get the answer, I think that that's
Yeah.
probably, most important. And if you're willing to spend the time to go get the answers for people, then I think that's what can separate you from your competitors or other people in the industry. Now, what would you say has been the most important thing to your success?
I would say, first and foremost, it's authentic relationships.
Yep.
I learned early on, it's all in who you know, so never burn bridges. And it wasn't until probably my mid-30s that I recognized the veracity of that lesson. I'm positive, I'm sincere, or try to be, which has, served me well in developing meaningful relationships. But without a doubt, my success as a parent, a board member, a communications and development director, fundraiser, small business owner is attributed to the network of people I've built relationships with. The individuals I thought I'd never see again, I have crossed paths with, so I'm grateful that I was given that piece of advice. Definitely has been the biggest contributor to my success, I should say, is the people I already knew that knew what I was capable of, and I didn't have to start at the bottom and prove that I was worth it.
I think not everyone realizes that that's a big contributor to their success. I mean, that networking and just being a part of the community and having good relationships with people that you work with as you go from company to school department to starting your own business. I mean, that stuff all pays off in ways that it's kind of hard to measure, but definitely contributes to your success as you move on in life. So it's kind of cool to hear that. And like I said, we've known each other probably for 15 years. I mean, I was probably a early 20s kid when we first met at Rotary. So it's been cool to kind of stay in touch over the years. And you just never know where relationships go, or where, you might move on from seeing someone on a regular basis, but then end right back up, and it's nice to be able to pick up where you left off or stay in touch. So I can definitely appreciate that. As someone that's 6 months into starting their business, what's some advice that you would have for people if they were thinking about starting a business?
So I'm, as you know, very planful and organized and methodical, probably to the nth degree. I recommend thoughtful planning, and I would recommend working one-on-one with a score mentor.
Really?
So when I thought of the idea, I'm a writer, so I very easily could have I did my business plan. I don't need assistance with the marketing and communications and how to do a website, but you don't know what you don't know. And so I read, 70% of businesses are more successful with a score mentor. So I said, I'm not going to take any chances. It's free. It's a free service for anyone. They have all of these videos and kind of helpful tips, but they help you identify your mentor. You know, they hook you with who they think you need.
So
And
can I
they
ask you a
tell
question?
you straight. Yeah.
So I've never actually heard the term of a SCORE mentor. So, I mean, I guess I'd be curious, like what that is and where you're even going to be connected with this person.
So I went to the SCORE website, which is, you know, they help connect people who want to start a business with experts and resources that you need to be prepared before you take them.
Yep.
So if I said, I want to start a business and I don't have a business plan, I don't even know what I need, they would have connected me with someone who is skilled at business plans.
Yeah. Okay.
So what they did was my mentor that I was assigned was a gentleman who has been in business for years. And he kind of said, well, I think what you're missing is this, this, and this. You're not telling me this as an outsider. So he kind of gave it to me straight and kind of said, okay, your next steps are this, this, and this. My biggest thing was I didn't know how to do an LLC.
Yeah.
And the taxes and the paperwork and that sort of thing.
All that stuff
So,
we're talking about, how most people don't know if they've never had a business before.
and if you go online, see, I Googled it because that's a big joke with my daughter and I. Every time she calls me, Mom, do you know this? I always go, did you Google it? But there's so much stuff, and it's just easier to work with someone who helps you fill out the paperwork, helps you get started. And they work with you for as long as you need. It's a great service. So I highly recommend a SCORE mentor if you're thinking of
I have
starting.
never heard of it before, and I'm excited to check it out afterwards because I definitely like to familiarize myself with that. And I'll share that information when I post the podcast. But what's the website? Just Google SCORE mentors and you would get there. It's not like score.com.
It might be score.org.
Okay.
It's if you do SCORE Southern Maine,
Yep.
it pops up.
That's great to hear. 'Cause people get paralyzed by like the stuff you talked about that you didn't know what to do. I could see that being a paralyzing thing for some people, and then they not take the next step because they didn't know how to do the taxes. They didn't know to do all that stuff. So I think this is a thing that can get people over that hump and help them feel comfortable making the leap to starting their own business. Obviously, it did for you. So I think that's good advice for people, and it might ring a bell with some people that are in that same spot, ready to take action, but just need that last little push. So besides that, like I said before, we know each other way back from Rotary. It sounds like you try to be involved in the community as much as possible. A bunch of different organizations. It's benefited your business, got you to kind of where you are now. Tell me a little bit about that part of your life.
So about, 20 years ago, probably at the age you were when you joined Rotary.
You know?
I was pretty young. I was working at the hospital at the time, and my boss was in Rotary, and she said, you should join Rotary because it will allow you to meet people and network, and you like community service, but more importantly, it's going to give you some leadership skills. And I was like, okay. Because believe it or not, back then I was an introvert. I've somehow transformed into this extrovert.
You know, I wouldn't have said
over the
that about you, but I mean, I consider myself an introvert as well. So that's funny how things change or what people perceive over time. But it sounds like it put you out of your comfort zone in the very least and created some growth.
Yeah, I've met some wonderful people. You know, Roland Ian pushed me, kept telling me, you could be a board member. I can't be a president. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And it's given me way more in return than what I ever thought. It's where I met some of the greatest people that I know. I mean,
Great friendships. Yeah, I know. We met in great friendships, but I can relate to being a younger person maybe in the group and walking into that room the first time and everyone knows each other and you're just kind of trying to find that angle, but it's ultimately a welcoming group that, for anyone that doesn't know what Rotary does, is a community service-based group that is just trying to improve the community that they operate in. The chapter we were a part of, and you still are, right? Biddeford-Saco Rotary.
Yes.
So yeah, it's just a bunch of Biddeford-Saco people, business owners, people in the community that want to help out. So I wish there were more hours in the day and I was still in the chapter, but I know what good people it is there and some of the stuff.
You can always come back.
Yeah, no, for sure. I could see doing it, but you know, my daughter's turning 5 tomorrow, 7-year-old, 10-year-old. School board, business, all that stuff. So I mean, at some point it happens, but I have a fond spot in my heart for the time I spent in Rotary and all those relationships that I built up. I don't think people realize the things that the Rotary Club does for the communities. There's just a million different projects, Have you guys been working on anything special over the past couple of years? Anything notable that I might not have heard about?
I would say what we've done recently that's probably been the biggest thing. I mean, it's been difficult with the pandemic and doing as much as we normally do because a lot of those things were gatherings. But we do the Red Ribbon Committee, which is focused on preventing young people from slipping into substance misuse and addiction, working with the school departments, helping them with the curriculum and promoting awareness among the youth to sort of guide them toward healthy behaviors instead of substances. We have a really good committee and the schools have been wonderful.
That was something that was started a couple of years, maybe a year or two before I stepped away from Rotary, and I thought it was a great thing now, and I'm glad to hear that all these years later that it's still going strong. But outside of something like that, Rotary's, last time I remembered, a situation where there was like a handicapped person that needed a ramp built at their house, Rotary's going to fund that and get that done. Someone needs heating oil, Rotary's going to fund that and get that done. All kinds of stuff people don't realize that's being done around the community. Rotary has a hand in, and I think we're fortunate to have such a strong chapter locally.
This summer we did raised garden beds for families who wanted to grow their own food. We always do, as you know, the adopt a family during the holidays, and that's a big deal. Scholarships to high school students. But
that was fun.
You're right. Charitable committee is a big deal, and if people need something, they should go to the website and reach out.
Now, I remember there was a time when I was actually in charge of youth exchange. I believe as me as a kid in my 20s in charge of youth exchange for Maine. And it was a great program. Kids would come over from all over the place. We'd send kids all over the world. I don't know if they do that anymore. It's been strange again with COVID, so probably not. But Rotary was a great way for kids to see the world, both ways. So hopefully they get back to that if they're not still doing it right now. Have you noticed?
They are.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, they are. And I mean, we didn't mention this, but I did look up earlier just to be prepared that we are now up to 1.4 million people who are Rotarians in 46,000 clubs.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of people helping the community. And it's great when you have the exchange because you've got the Interact kids at the high school, the Rotaract kids at the college. I was the liaison for the exchange student that we had here.
Oh, really? Nice.
And I thought, okay, well, I'll just be like my normal mom, I guess. Like, I can do mom. But in all the 10 years, Randy, I was on the board, I served in every role except treasurer, which after watching you, I would never do.
I learned a lot being treasurer. I'm not an accountant. I have no experience with QuickBooks, and everything was QuickBooks. And I remember we would have board meetings at Packwood and Carroll. I don't know where you guys do them now, but they'd be on these Wednesday mornings, I think at like 7 in the morning. And I would be at my office till 3 in the morning doing everything and preparing to make sure I have my reports to hand out to everybody, to tell everybody 30 seconds of information. But it took me like 6 hours of working the night before. But I got through those 2 years, and it was crazy, but definitely learned a lot. I guess you need kind of people like that are going to put some effort in. A lot of people kind of mail in things in life, and I guess I just didn't want to do that. And I know you don't do that, being every role. I think you were president when I was there at one point, but the years fly by. How long has it been?
Since I was president?
Yeah.
2012.
Yeah, so I was definitely in the chapter at that point, so. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
Now, what other community service type stuff are you doing? Is there anything else in particular? Or?
Yeah, I am on the board of United Way of Southern Maine.
Yep.
And right now I'm on their governance committee, but I am moving, this will be interesting, starting in July as the co-chair of their Thrive Goal 1, which is making sure kids are at reading proficiency level by 3rd grade. Mm-hmm. So I guess my education background is going to serve me well, and I'll be working with the schools in York County and Cumberland County to make sure that we reach that goal, which is nice.
That's great.
I'll serve on Biddeford Ready, which I currently do anyway, getting kids to be ready for school and being kindergarten ready.
Yep.
I'm on the Coastal Health Communities Coalition Alliance, the Project Alliance, which works on substance misuse.
Yep. Wow.
And previously I was president of Biddeford Education Foundation,
Yes.
which I sort of miss that. And it's nice to still be able to work with Shelley on that. And so
I had a fun time doing the boat cruise that we did that one year,
that's
where
so
we
fun.
got everyone out on the Casablanca out in Bay and raised some money, had a good time. It was fun. I'd like to do that again at some point, but the Biddeford Education Foundation is a great thing. That's something that was only created not that long ago, right?
Well, when I started in that role, it had lapsed. I guess there was one years ago, but we needed a 501c3 on. Just for grant funding, you
Yep.
often need that instead of just a municipality. So we reinstated it, and it's done remarkable.
Yeah.
We've gotten a Pillars of Pride event. We've raised a ton of money to help kids, to help people, that aren't things that aren't covered by the school.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was some uniform stuff. We did some stuff for the band. It's a great thing to have in the community. Hopefully it continues to be a thing people are familiar with and, can continue to raise money and help the community. I think that stuff's super important. So that's all the stuff I wanted to touch on, get a chance to catch up a little bit, learn about your business. Super excited for you. I'll be sure to share all your information, but why don't you share with people the best way to reach you?
So the best way to reach me is at probably my website, diverseanecdote.com, or they can connect with me on LinkedIn. At my LinkedIn name is Karen D. Chasse.
Yep.
You know what we missed, Randy?
What? What do we miss?
You were going to ask me about why I chose the name of my business.
Tell me. I want you to tell me. I was just so focused on not saying it wrong, like I was telling you. I was just diverse anecdote, that once I said it without messing it up, I kind of just moved on. So tell me what I am interested. Where did the name come from?
So I wanted my business name to represent what I offered, but also be grounded by personal meaning. So I chose to name it after two longtime best friends, Diane and Dorothy. They both passed away at a young age, lupus and cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom was called Di. That was her nickname. And my fiance's mom was called Dot, which was her nickname. So I searched for words that would fit with what I offered, but I could weave their names in. So
that's cool.
I Diverse has the DI in it, to describe a variety of services.
Yep.
And the anecdote had the DOT in it for Dot, because I wanted, anecdote is bringing a story to life. So I wanted to bring my clients' stories to life through imagery and communication, copywriting, that sort of thing. So it just, everybody says, why that name? But it really is more because I thought, what business would fail if it was named after your mother's?
Well, what a great name, though. To have those connections on a personal level, but also represent what you're offering to your clients. I think that's a cool story to be able to share. It's not just, oh, hey, I was, Googling one day and I came up with diverse anecdote. It was, something that actually means something to you and something that you can share over time with people. So thank you for bringing it back up. I'm sorry that I forgot it. And the website is diverseanecdote.com.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks again for coming on. I appreciate it. Hopefully we can do it again sometime, and I'll be sure to share all your info. So thanks, Karen.
Thank you so much, Randy.